Hello, everyone. This is Curtain Call with Kosmo and Pauline, and I am Pauline Jennings, one of your hosts.
And I am the other host, Kosmo Esplin.
Hey, Kosmo, how are you doing?
I am doing very well. Great to see you, Pauline. How are you doing?
Great to see you, too, and I'm doing great, too. I've had a good month. We are doing this show every month, so it's been a month of not seeing each other, for this anyway, but there are many other projects. So what did you do in this past month? Anything exciting and fun?
Well, I think we're all looking for something exciting and fun to do during this time.
Kidding.
I did a bunch of fun stuff. First of all, I had a staycation with my parents, which was really nice. Got some school off, got to play some board games, one of them ironically being Pandemic, which is actually my favorite game, unfortunately. And also watched some movies. You know, last month was October, Halloween, so we watched some Halloween films, of course. Hot fudge and popcorn were included.
That's great.
Yeah, but enough about me. What did you do this past month?
Well, I was going through in my head what I did, and I couldn't think of what I did, so I had to go to my Facebook page to see what I posted. And I did. Sure. And I went to my calendar. Nice. Of course, I had interviews for Musician Talk with many wonderful people. Let's see. I'm working with Sam Temple with Northfield Public Broadcasting to get the portion of the Drive-In Live concert that we did in September, get the over and back portion of that show on Northfield Public Broadcasting. That's coming up pretty soon. And also next week, they're going to be broadcasting some of our radio shows that we did together. And they're going to start with the series that you wrote called Adventures of Stardust. And that will be, although it's just audio, there'll be a picture up during the whole thing, but it's just as lovely just to listen to it, put it on while you're cleaning the house or whatever. And I will have an update on my not my website, but my Facebook page, Pauline Jennings, Pauline Schuster Jennings, no C in Schuster, on Facebook. So if you want to check that out to see exactly when those things are going to be on Northfield Public Broadcasting, please do. I also did a fun little video called Rock the Vote with Todd Thompson and my husband, Steve Jennings, and Craig Wasner, rock the vote. From rock the vote to rock the vote. Yeah. And put that on Facebook and trying to get people to vote. And of course, that has come and gone. So, right. And then I got together with my friend Pam and did a couple more songs together. We brought up Jewel, Foolish Games, which was one of our favorite and earliest songs that we learned. So went to the Guild's annual meeting for members and volunteers and community members, basically just to give an update on the health of the Guild as a whole for the theater and the fine arts, and also to hear about what their plans are going forward. And also, we were both there, Kosmo and I. Yep, and also, they announced the Volunteers of the Year, which I know one pretty well. And his name is Kosmo Esplin.
Please. Thank you. No, please. But I also want to mention the other Volunteers of the Year, who are Birch Carlson, Christina Sauer, and Jan Shoger. So, but thank you for your congratulations, Pauline. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. How exciting. And you totally deserved it. You do so much for not only the Guild, but the whole community. And I'm just so pleased to be working with you.
Oh, thanks. I'm pleased to be working with you as well. You volunteer many times, and you're actually a volunteer superstar this
past year at some point in time. Yeah. That's right. So that's great. We love working with the Guild, and the Guild should be supported any way possibly can. Absolutely. Which moves us on to what?
Theater news.
That's right.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I found out. And that's a great transition. So speaking of the Northfield Arts Guild, last time we talked a little bit about Solos, the monologue writing and performing festival. So just a little reminder, authors submitted their original monologues to be performed by an actor. It's a collection of 12 monologues total, and so they'll post the video on YouTube, and it will also air on Northfield Public Broadcasting. So it's currently been rescheduled to premiere this month November 7th, coming up tomorrow morning. Tomorrow afternoon at 2:00 p.m. on Northfield Public Broadcasting. So be sure to check that out.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so a little while ago, they were still in the stages of nitpicking everything to make sure it's tip-top for when it's able to finally be viewed. And you can also, if you want more information on the monologues themselves, you can check out the Guild's Facebook page for some interviews that I actually conducted with the monologue authors. And the actors of the solos monologues are Alison Hyder, Raul Arambola, Bob Spear, Cora Stewart, Kevin Dahl, Emily Oberto, Copano Sambalagua, Susan Dunhop, Mary Maker, Jonathan Larson, Andy Moore, and Felicia Crosby.
Whoa, what a
Quite a
lineup.
cast.
Incredible. How exciting. I
know.
can't wait to see it. I can't wait.
For sure. And I had some help with directors Misha Edwards and Rachel Hyder, and the monologue authors are also fantastic. But anyway, so moving on from that, another little piece of theater news is that back in the early spring of this year, actually, the Northfield Middle School had been rehearsing a new play called The Count, but it was unfortunately canceled when COVID-19 struck. But now they've turned it into a radio production written and directed by Russ Paladin, and it has a great cast. And in short, the show is a different take on a classic vampire tale. And you can find both parts of The Count on the Entertainment Guide's website. That's entertainmentguidemn.com. And if I'm correct, you actually edited 2 parts of these shows, correct, Pauline?
I did. I did. So I can tell you with assurance that you should tune into it. It's a lot of fun, and the kids do a great job, and Russ did a wonderful job. So absolutely tune into that and listen to it, because it's a lot of fun. But it has a lot of music and sound effects. It's kind of spooky in some parts. So it's a lot of fun. It's definitely a lot of fun.
Fantastic.
So
now your piece of theater news.
Thank you. And I just took a look at Paradise's site to see what they're doing down at this Paradise Center for the Performing Arts. And I don't have this memorized, so I'm going to read it off here.
Okay.
They actually just had something that they called the Paradise Radio Suspense Theater. And they put that online, and also had people come into the theater. So their doors are open for very limited seating. And they have some other rules around that you can find out at their website, just like they don't want to have walk-ups and all that. So they can absolutely know how many people they're having and how to control for COVID. And coming up, these aren't theater things, but it's things to go out and see. With the theater being opened. Barb Piper with Chicken Bones is Saturday, November 7th at 7:30. And again, there'll be restrictions as to how many people they can have. You'll be able to buy tickets to go there, also to watch it, stream it online. And on Friday, November 7th, is the Honk and Tonk Rebel Mario Carboni and the Stranger Norm Hamlet, along with special guest Old Country Boys. And so that first one with Barb Piper is November 7th at Saturday at 7:30. And this next one is actually November 20th on Friday at 7 p.m. And again, both shows will be streamed, that you can buy tickets for streaming it or actually go in person, but they are urging you to get your tickets right away so they can plan for that, for setting everything up for COVID. To get more information, go to paradisecenterforthearts.org, and they have their calendar. You can find out everything there. Also, Delico Arts in New Prague has a virtual theater subscription called Delico Home Invasion, and that looks pretty interesting. There's different packages that you can sign up for, and that is all virtual. None of that is in person, but it looks exciting, the things that they are offering. And it is theater, and they are continuing to find ways to get theater out to all of us that want it so bad. And to get more information for that is Delico, DALEKO arts.com. That's what I have for you today.
Fantastic. Great news. Thanks for sharing that, Pauline.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now to move on to our next section, which is to see or not to see. One performance art that you definitely should see and one that you shouldn't.
That's right.
Yes.
What do you got for us there, buddy?
Okay, so
I'm excited to hear.
So to see, this one is kind of interesting, the Carol Burnett Show. I've watched that since I was about 5 years old, and I loved it. It's so 60s and 70s and everything. It's so much fun with all the skits. It's like SNL, but with Carol Burnett and
Exactly.
and Harvey Korman and everybody. And I have a little bit of an interesting story behind this. I actually got to speak to Carol Burnett once on the phone and once at the Orpheum, because I wrote her a letter and she called me, and she's just a wonderful woman.
Wow.
And it was really amazing to talk to her. And then I went to her show at the Orpheum about 1 or 2 years ago now, and I got to ask her a question there. And so that was really fun.
What was your question?
I think it was, what is your favorite movie? And I'm almost positive that she said Gone with the Wind.
Have you seen the scene?
Yes.
Right. Yes. The famous curtain scene,
Yes.
drapery scene. That is so funny. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
But-
what not to see?
Yes. So this one might offend some people, so be ready.
All right. I'm ready.
Any of Tim Burton's films. So,
all right. I'm offended.
Oh. Okay. Look.
Go ahead.
All right, any of his films except the 1989 Batman with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson. I'll take my dad's word for that. I still have yet to see it, I've watched a decent number of his films, and some of them like Nightmare Before Christmas, Corpse Bride, Beetlejuice. He does a lot of really bizarre, wacko stuff.
He does.
And I respect his imagination, but the films just don't click with me. If there's humor, I don't like it.
Or you miss it completely.
Or it's so bizarre that it gets to a point where it just doesn't make any sense at all to me. And it might make enough sense to people since it doesn't make any sense to me, if that makes any sense at all.
It's like it's bizarre just for bizarre's sake, kind of.
Sure. And it's just, Nightmare Before Christmas, I'm not a big fan of that. Just the music. I'm sorry.
All right.
But what are your thoughts on that, Pauline?
I'll accept that. I do like his vision in general.
Okay.
And I don't know that I would say it's bizarre for bizarre's sake. There are some redeeming qualities, but it's been so long since I've seen any of them. It's hard for me to put my finger on what I like about it or why I think they're funny. Mm-hmm. So I definitely don't like all of it, but he's kind of he's a talented guy anyway. What can I say?
I can respect that.
Awesome. Thank you. Mm-hmm. So what to see or not to see? I'm going to start with my what not to see, which is
okay.
All right. I'm changing it up just to be a little bit different here. Okay. It's a remake of Fantastic Four. They redid it in 2015. And as a Marvel fan, I did not like it. And I think the biggest reason is because there was just no chemistry between the four. And that is essential for any of those kind of movies where they put more than one superhero together. It's that chemistry that makes you enjoy it so much and allows for humor to be to actually work. They set it up at the end for a sequel. They're all standing at this railing and kind of looking off superhero-like into the distance. And they're all standing next to each other. And I'm just thinking, okay, why do I even care about these people? They're just nothing got me going, in liking them and liking who they were. And so I just thought there's got to be no sequel. And I went to look just to see, because I wouldn't have watched it, but I just wanted to see, and there wasn't. So I think most Marvel fans agreed with me. Ixnay on the remake of the Fantastic Four. This is a series, the TV series. It's called Schitt's Creek, and it has a C in it, so I can say it. It's a family name. The town was named after the family called Schitt, Schitt. So just remember that whenever I say that. All right. It's a Canadian television sitcom created by Dan and Eugene Levy, which of course I love. Eugene Levy was in a lot of the, help me out here, Christopher Guest films, like Waiting for Guffman and Best in Show. Very, very funny man. And there's 6 wonderful seasons. I like them all. It's very, very over the top sitcom, very over the top humor and acting. And the only way that works ever is when people are completely committed and really, really good actors. So it's the series follows the trials and tribulations of the formerly wealthy Rose family when they are forced to relocate to Schitt's Creek with the sea, a small town they once purchased as a joke, and now living in a motel. The family, 2 kids and the parents, and that's Eugene Levy, the wonderful Catherine O'Hara. She's so good. The son, Dan Levy, and then the daughter is Annie Murphy, who's a newcomer to the screen, I guess, an actress. And they have to adjust to life without money and with each other, because otherwise before this, they really didn't spend any time together. And the shenanigans are absolutely hilarious. Laugh out loud. So that's what to see and not to see. So what we have to see or not to see. To see is Schitt's Creek and
The Carol Burnett Show.
And not to see is a Fantastic Four, the 2015 remake of, and
any of Tim Burton's films except the 1989 Batman.
Got it. And now that we took care of all that, let's move on to our guest, the most important part of the show.
Yes. So our guest is, drumroll please, Sam Temple.
Woohoo! All right. Well, let's get Sam Temple in here and interview him.
Yeah.
And play some games.
All right. Hey, Sam.
Hello.
Great to see you.
Good to see you guys too. It's been a while since I've seen you guys in person.
So, Sam, I'm just going to kick it off with some questions about your theatrical journey, because you're kind of a celebrity, Northfield Faribault all around.
That's true.
So I think people will really want to know how you got from there to here. So, first of all, what is your first memory on stage, and how did you get on stage?
My first memory on stage would be the Nerstrand Elementary School talent show, a little skit that my sister put together, and doing little shows with my sister is really how I got into it all. She's 4 years older than me, so she was the original director for me, whether it's stories that she's coming up with, or it's based on movies that we know. We'd perform little skits for our parents. If we had a talent show like the one at Nerstrand, we would do it there. But the first community theater production that I was involved in was in 2011. I was 10 years old, and it was The Christmas Schooner, put on by the Merlin Players. So we had a few connections. We knew a few people who were involved, but it was really a blind process, and it took I think a lot of trust on my parents' part to drop their kid off for 3 hours a night at the theater downtown at the Paradise Center for the Arts. But pretty much since then, it's been my community, the hub for me. And from there, I've done 30 some shows in the last 10 years then. And just
Wow.
keeping really busy with that. Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. So leading up to where we are now, how did you get from there to here as a renowned actor?
Renowned.
Yes, you are.
A lot of it has to do with the people who were willing to put up with the kid that I was, to take my lack of shame and turn it into acting ability and the work that goes into that. And a lot of that is Rachel Hyder and Juliana Sklzacek really were those huge influences on me, whether it was about professionalism off stage or literally what you're doing on stage. I'd say those two were really my biggest influences there. It also required not just faith in the kid as an actor, but also giving me chances to do things off stage as well, whether it was running spot, doing sound, or stage managing. It took a lot of trust that I might not know how to do things at the beginning of the production, but we're going to trust that by the end you'll do it well enough to make sure that the show runs. And a big leap of faith was the Paradise Community Theater Committee. They had a lot of trust in me and actually let me direct a few years back for the first time. So a friend of mine and I also, outside of theater, we produced documentaries on local history. And we decided to write a play that was a collection of a few of those stories, and that resulted in a celebration of Faribault. It's behind me, actually. We did not know how to direct a show, and I wasn't intending on directing a show then, but it's kind of what it became. We were going to do a variety show format or something like that, so that it didn't feel like we had the full pressure of putting on that story. But the committee had faith in us, and that's what we did. I directed again then a few months after that, and it's just been a journey of a lot of people having faith in my ability, but I can't say that any of those projects were all me. It's all collaboration, and that's what I really love about theater is no one person can put it on. And for me, the people that I've enjoyed working with the most are the people who are willing to ask, how can we do this better? How can I do this better? What is the best way to tell this story? Whether or not it's the original intention, whether or not it's what we set out to do, we need to service the story and give the audience the best experience possible. No one likes working with a dictator. And so I think the most collaboration that you can have there, that's how you can have trust in people. And I like to think that's part of why I've been able to do so much, is not just people having faith in me, but also having faith that I'll ask for help when I need it.
There's some themes there that I love and I feel are so indicative of theater, which is trust, faith in each other, and helping each other. And you kind of covered all three of them. Nicely done. And yes, Juliana and Rachel have both helped so many people in both Faribault and Northfield. So awesome.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's a great answer. Thank you, Sam. And I have heard of you obviously doing much theater, but also doing film, like you mentioned, with the documentary series 1855, which I've watched, and it's really, you guys do incredible work is all I can say. It's really interesting, for sure. So before I hand this over to Pauline for some games, I just want to say I want to plug 1855 a little bit. Where can listeners and viewers find that online?
Sure. So 1855 is a local Minnesota documentary history series that's available online. If you look up 1855 Faribault or 1855 history, you'll find it there. Otherwise, most of our content is also available on Facebook, and you can find whatever it is we're working on there, whether we have some sort of virtual event or simply a new documentary coming out. Right now, we're working on one that will take us to a different pandemic in 1918. And there's just some really, really incredible and important stories to hear from that time of local families who are going through a lot of the same things we are. And in the same place we are. So it's a really beautiful story. And so hopefully that'll be coming out in the next month or so here.
Sam, when you say we, do you have a name to your company to look up?
So we just produce it under the moniker 1855. I produce it with my friend Logan Ledman. And local musician Sam Dwyer does the compositions for the piece.
That's
one of my favorite parts. He is incredible. So
yes,
that's what most of what I like to do with my projects is to show off talented people and make sure that they can get the recognition and opportunity they deserve. So
that's great.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Sam.
And is it time for games? Is it time? Is it time?
I'm handing this over to you, Pauline.
All right, awesome, good. This is my favorite part. I mean, I love listening to you and hearing your journey and all that, Sam. But here we go.
Let's play.
All right, let's play. So first, we're going to start out with the greatest role you never had. Say audition for it, but didn't get it.
I really, really, really wanted to play Edna Turnblad in Hairspray. And my middle school put it on when I was in 7th grade, and there's a bit of a it's always the older kids. It's always older kids that are going to get it. I was close. I played Wilbur. I played the dad, but I wanted to play the mom, and I don't know why. Ever since I was little, Hairspray was one of the first big professional musicals that I saw when I was little. And there are, I think, 2 movies of it, and I grew up watching it, loving it, just loving the story, loving the music. And then I was told, hey, that's actually a guy who's playing the mom. I thought, that is fascinating, and that sounds really fun. Like I said, I grew up with an older sister, so when we play pretend, all the things that were too small for her were dresses. So play pretend. I grew up stuff like, I guess I had an early fascination with drag or something. But that I really wanted to play Edna. Didn't get to do it in middle school, but I got to play the dad. So that's a role that I think is on my bucket list. If should the opportunity arise.
Do you want to take the opportunity to maybe sing a little lines from Edna?
I did say I didn't get the part, and I dare say that might have had something to do with it. So I'll say I'm going to pass on that.
Fair enough. Okay, so we'll move on to what is the favorite role that you've had? There's probably more than one, but what sticks out?
Favorite role that I've had was Ebenezer Scrooge. That I hope that I will get the chance to play it again. I'd like to be an old man someday. So potentially to play that age appropriate would be fun. But I got to do that with Purple Door Youth Theater, and I love that. That was a dream role.
That's a great role.
Yeah.
And
Okay, so that is a great role. I have never played that role. I don't think they usually cast women, but maybe they'll start.
Yeah.
How about your best audition or worst audition story? You got one of those for us today?
My worst audition story, I had the opportunity to audition for a role, and they basically randomly paired off the auditioners. I was auditioning for a play with my girlfriend, and we basically knew, well, we're never going to be able to, play opposite each other. We're never going to, we're not going to get a lot of opportunity because directors generally don't like to do that. At least in my experience. But we were randomly paired together to audition together. And we thought, oh, okay. So if we totally, knock this out of the park, that's a really good shot. But then I couldn't get a word out when we were in, and I dropped the script maybe 6 times and was spinning around in circles trying to get this piece of paper, and totally blew it. She was wonderful in spite of that. But needless to say, we weren't cast opposite each other. And so that's one that sticks in my memory. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Best save on stage, or both, either or, your biggest screw up?
Yeah, one of my favorite shows that I was in was an original farce comedy written by Dan Rathbun that was called Coconuts and Mistletoe. It was a Christmas show, and like I said, it was a farce full of these big physical comedy moments. And it takes place in a bar, and there was a scene where I was supposed to be serving someone a drink, and because it's a farce, my character isn't the brightest. I'm supposed to offer someone a beer, pick up a beer bottle, and like, you want a beer? Sure. They're across the room. They start walking toward me, but I chuck the bottle at them, and it hits the wall behind them. But one night, we've done this, all these times, gotten exactly right, and we have to rehearse it quite a bit because I want to make sure I'm not hitting him with the bottle. So we've run this scene a lot. But the night, I'm going through, because we have sugar bottles that'll break easily and not hurt anyone, and we have real bottles, and I cannot find the sugar bottle. So I'm like, crap, I can't, I don't have anything to throw. So I just find a cup, I fill it with water, and I slide it across the bar, and it like splashes. So it has a similar effect, but it obviously wasn't funny. There's some shock humor to big crash, right. But it was rough. Luckily, the my scene partner, Nate Chesney, he saw, he's not finding the bottle. And so he kind of picked up and was able to play along and move in and get splashed and all that. But yeah, I still can play that in my head in excruciating detail. So I don't know if I would call that a save, but it was something. I didn't break a real bottle.
Right. Thank God. Right. We were both, I think both Cosmo and I were expecting you to have actually hit him or something. So this was a good outcome to a bad situation.
And I just want to make a quick note here that I don't feel bad about that because I can absolutely see that happening to me in the future. So, so you know.
Now you know what to do, Cosmo.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Find something else to slide or throw.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. That's awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you, Sam. That was delightful. And now we get to the funniest part of the program, and I'm going to hand it back to Cosmo for that.
Now we're going to play this dialect game so basically I'll just have you say a saying that I've picked randomly here, and then I'll have you do some different accents with it. And there will be 2 bonus rounds, just so you know. So I'm going to have you choose between 2 sayings. You can pick either one. So the first one is, they call me the master of disaster because I've got an attitude of batitude. Or, grandma's mean because she didn't eat her vegetables as a kid.
Grandma's mean because she didn't eat her vegetables as a kid. That's it?
Yep. Nice. Okay, so I'm going to randomly pick a dialect or accent here. So, okay, the dialect is a surfer.
Okay. Grandma's mean, man, because she didn't eat her vegetables as a kid. Is that it? As a kid?
Yes.
Okay, that was
Nice.
a bit more stoner than surfer, but
dude, you can add words too, by the way, just to make it more.
Okay.
That's great. All right. So same saying, but this time I want you to say it as a vampire.
Grandma's mean because she did not eat the vegetables as a kid.
Yes.
Let's add that applause sound effect again.
We will. We'll put that in there definitely for that.
Oh gosh, that's hilarious. Okay. So now we're moving on to the bonus round.
Yep.
Where
serious stuff here.
Yes, we're treading into dangerous waters.
That's right.
So I'm going, you can say the same saying, and I'm going to pick an accent, but you have to do it as an age, either as a baby or as an old man. Which one do you pick?
I mean, my tendency is to go old man, so let's do that.
All right. Sounds good. Well, how about you do, this is kind of a contradiction, but an old man valley girl. If it's too difficult, I can pick another one, but I want to challenge you.
Like, really?
Grandma's mean because she didn't eat her vegetables as a kid. Yeah.
I don't know why. That's kind of the droning I get from.
It's a mix of Gollum and a valley girl.
Yeah, that was something. That was something.
That was like so like good.
All right, I'm gonna do one more for this bonus round, then we'll move on to the extra bonus round. Do you want to keep with old man or do baby?
Let's keep with old man.
Okay, sounds good. Well, how about you do an old man Batman?
Which Batman?
Let's go with I'm Batman. That one, whoever that is, Christian Bale.
My grandma's mean because she didn't eat her vegetables as a kid.
So 2 raspy voices together. I think that was old man Batman who had
Oh wow,
years ago.
that is an 80-year-old Bruce Wayne right there. Wow,
Awesome.
Oh, gosh. All right, now we're moving on to the final round, which is
Right.
extra bonus round, as I like to call it. And I can barely keep myself together. Okay, and so this one, you get to pick the accent that you're best at, but keep with this same saying.
My grandmother is mean because she didn't eat vegetables as a kid, as a child.
Nice.
Kept it simple there.
That's great.
Nice, an English accent, which of course you're in Mansfield Park, so I knew you could. I knew you could hit that one out of the ballpark.
This is a family reunion right here, actually.
That's
that
right.
one-
We
that
were
was-
all in Mansfield Park.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was close for another. It was honestly between that one, Curious Incident, and Scrooge for my favorite role. So those were all really great experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you did such a great job. So did
In all of
Cosmo,
them.
and he played you as a young boy, which is
right.
just
That's
Yeah.
right.
That's
wonderfully done. Wonderfully done.
As was for you.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, very much so.
All right, I totally set myself up for that. What could you say? All right, I have one last thing I'd like to add is
Yeah, go
your
ahead.
favorite tongue twister. Because for those of you that don't know, we do test tongue twisters before we start a show because we want to get our mouth and our tongue warmed up so that we're not tripping on words just like I just did. So, what's your favorite one?
My favorite one, I always do Peter Piper, especially for being on camera, because popping the peas is you gotta be ready to maneuver those. But the tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips, just getting as much blood flow and movement in your mouth before a performance.
We're both doing the tip of the tongue, teeth, lips, because it moves every part of your mouth, doesn't it? All right. Okay, so Cosmo, you want to take us out of the interview?
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for answering all those questions, Sam, and for coming on. I had a great time seeing a familiar face, actually being able to see two humans on Zoom. The world is turning into a zoo. And so I just want to ask you what your favorite theater quote is.
Favorite theater quote. This is from another teacher that I had. I'm gonna butcher this a little bit. Theater is not the truth, but it can be truthful. It doesn't have to be, 100% real to life. It can't be 100% real to life, but as long as it's done honestly, then it can be meaningful and it can be honest.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Wow. Well, thank you again for coming on, Sam. We had some great laughs. Thank you for being so willing.
Absolutely. Thanks for hopping on board with us. It was great to see you.
Yeah.
It was great fun. Thank you guys so much.
Oh, what a great guy Sam is. I always like to talk to him.
Yeah, for sure. He's really fun too, and those games are just so hilarious as always.
His delivery is so dry.
Yeah.
And that almost makes it funnier, I think, sometimes.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
Thank you so much to him. And
Thank you.
make sure you look up what he's doing with the 1855 under the 1855 name because it's all really, really good.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I think it's time to take it out here, Cosmo.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I just want to say thank you real quick to you for being my co-host again.
Thank you to
And this was a really fun episode. So I had a lot of really good time. So
this is fun.
Yeah.
I hope the audience has as much fun as we do.
Thanks not only to you, Pauline, but also to KYMN Radio 95.1, The One, and very special thanks to our guest, Samuel Temple.
And thanks to all of you for listening to Curtain Call with Kosmo and Pauline today. We had so much fun, and you can watch it too. Not only listen to it on KYMN, you can watch it on our YouTube channel, Curtain Call with Kosmo and Pauline.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for tuning in today.
Thank you, everybody. And remember, all the world's a stage.